In the last video, we talked about what the first thing we need to do was. If you missed it out, go and check it out. Otherwise, we'll dive into some reflections on creating a sketch right after this. Sketching the map is for me as much about generating further ideas as it is to get a feel for the world. Personally, I always sketch with pen and paper, and I usually end up scribbling through several sketches before arriving at something I think could be what I'm looking for. In doing this, it becomes important to figure out the scope of your map. Or maybe in other words, the size. Are you mapping out an entire world or a continent or perhaps just a single city? And the other thing to figure out at the sketching stage is the ratio between land and water, and in most cases you will want to include both. Now, a map for a fantasy world cannot be as detailed as a real world map. It would simply become too overwhelming for you and me as creators, but also for a viewer. So getting the size of the world just right is an important starting point. There is no rules on how big or small world you can create. It's really up to you. That said, I personally always find that traveling speeds in the Middle Ages points me in a certain direction, and coupled with me knowing what kind of story I want to tell, I'm in a pretty good spot. In fantasy settings, we have no cars or vehicles of any kind to take the characters around, so the different places I need my characters to go to cannot be so far apart that it'll take them forever to get there. If we take Lord of the Rings as an example, the distance from Bag End to Mount Doom is in most books portrayed as a distance of 1,000 miles. It's not that far, all things considered. With regards to traveling speeds, here are some rules of thumb you can use to calculate distances for your map. An average healthy person in the Middle Ages could walk roughly 15 miles a day. On horseback, you could cover twice that distance, and on boat, I would use 100 miles a day as your calculating average. In conclusion, try to understand the scales of your map and the ratio between water and land. With that in place, try while you are sketching to figure out how detailed your map is going to be. Are you going to show only the largest and most important places, or are you including small details as well? I'm not suggesting to overcomplicate a thinking process here. I mean, this is sketching. This is playing around and trying out different versions and then see what suits you the best. I really find this step very useful, and I usually end up with a fairly good picture of what I want before I spend more time laboring over details and then only realizing that I did not need them in the first place. So keep it very rough at this stage, don't overlabor it, let your hand run wild, and then edit yourself later. I would love to hear what benefits you see from sketching the map before going further with it is, or maybe even if you see some cons, please leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you love map making like I do, I have written a book on designing maps, which you can grab from the link here on the screen or also in the description field below. Make sure to subscribe if this is your first time here, and I'll continue to create new content for you. If you should want to support me, please go and check out my Patreon page. There is a link on the screen and also in the description field below. and for as little as $1 a month, you get into the community I'm trying to build over there. See you next time.